That is the introduction.
Back to the Wide Awake Show with myself, Rich, and our amazing guest, Dave Murphy. This is part 2 of a talk that we're having with Dave. We wanted to spread it out over a couple of shows so that we can give it to you in a manageable, bite-sized pieces. We're talking about common law today and all of the bits and pieces that come in with you navigating these situations that we come up against with court summons, with fines. So yeah, yield the floor, Rich.
Yeah, so we've just been discussing what we should do. What's the first thing we do with let's say you get a letter from the council tax, or you get a letter from the bailiffs or something. My first thought about this is that it's reactionary. What we're doing, it's not reaction. We're responding. So they contact us, and we have to respond back to them. So, what's the best way for us to respond in the first instance?
Well, again, depends on how you decide you want to approach it. Mm-hmm. The one of the first and obvious ways is not to commit mail fraud.
Fraud.
Yes, don't commit mail fraud.
Okay.
It's actually against the law to open mail that doesn't belong to you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. So if mail comes to your door and it's not addressed to you, then
we're talking about. So let's say my name's Roxanne, right? So say it was ROSXANN. What if they spell my name wrong?
Well, that's right, but more often than not, it's going to be your name in all capitals, or your name with a title. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not your title. No. Did you give yourself that title? No, it's the title that somebody else gave to you. So, but that's not you. Okay.
No. That's the straw man.
Or it comes to another fictional enter, like the resident, the occupier, the householder. Yeah. Somebody asked me when the census came round. Mm-hmm. They said, "What do I do if I don't fill this in? They're going to charge me £1,000." I said, "Is your name the householder?" No. Right. Why are you going to open that letter?
Yeah, well said. Well said.
Right. So the easiest and best way is you cross out the name and address on it. You write "no contract, return to sender," and you pop it back into the post.
Right.
Now the thing is, if somebody back in old days, when somebody wanted to serve something on you, so the government or a corporation wants to serve you, or even summons you, they had to use a process server. So that process server would come up to you physically and say, "Are you Roxanne?" And you say, "Yeah." And this is for you. As soon as you touch it, right,
you have been served. Yeah, right. It's still a thing in the US, isn't it?
Yes,
it's still a thing in the US.
Divorces and things like that. Yes, but now because of the postal service is reliable, if they put a letter in the post and it doesn't bounce back to them, they can deem it as being served. Right. Okay. Now, if that letter bounces back, then it's not served. Okay. If it bounces back and it's not been opened, then if it was, say, a summons, it's not been served on a person. I think there's a stipulation, and I can't remember it off by heart, but I think it's Magistrate Courts Act 1980. There's a stipulation that says if the document, if it hasn't been served on the person, then and they're not aware of the proceedings, then it's null and void.
If it hasn't been served and they're not aware, it's null and void.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some of this stuff before. A few people I've spoken to at Speaker's Corner have said, they don't address this identity. They don't acknowledge things that address the straw man. Yeah. Can that work? Can it work to just not, to rip these letters up and to just not have any involvement?
Because there's a maxim in law that says Yeah, he who is silent consents.
Okay, so for those of you watching that have reached out to me, there's a lot of people that have said, Rox, if I just rip these up and put them in the bin, like, does that mean not acknowledging it? And I'm going, I don't think it's as simple as that. So please pin your luggles back and take note of what's being said here.
Yeah, so if they come at you, you have 3 business days, 72 hours to respond. And if you don't respond in that time, then it's considered, your silence is considered consent. Yeah, so if they've summoned you and they don't hear back within, the 72 hours, then you've accepted the summons. Right. Or you've accepted their paperwork. You've accepted whatever is in that paperwork.
Is it 72 working day hours? Because if they serve you on a Friday...
Yeah, technically, yeah. But, if you can, you should respond immediately. And say the easiest response is no contract return to sender. Now, there are other ways to dealing with things, but the first line of your response might be something like, I note that I opened this letter possibly by mistake because at first glance the name looked like mine.
Right.
So one of the first things you want them to clarify, is this letter addressed to myself, Dave, the living man, or is it addressed to Mr. David Murphy? So
because that puts them in a bind because they can't address a living man because they're a fictional corporate entity.
Exactly. So again, the whole process of responding to them. As you said earlier, Rich, you have to stay in honor. Okay. Now it's dishonorable to refuse anything. Okay. But it is honorable to accept. So the best thing to do is accept with conditions. And that's what we're talking about, the conditional acceptance being the bread and butter of the common law approach. So yes, the conditional acceptance is that you say, I'll happily pay whatever it is, or I'll happily accept whatever you're saying in your paperwork on condition that you provide me with the following information. And what you do is you make sure that what you're asking for, they should, in all good faith, be able to give you. Right?
Things like proof of claim.
Exactly.
Right.
But the crux of it is they can't give you because it doesn't exist. So in my conditional acceptance for the vaccine, for instance, one of my questions is I'd like double-blind placebo-controlled study proving the safety and effectiveness of vaccines. Okay. Now, any doctor that's trying to push this vaccine on you, they should be able to give you a placebo-controlled double-blind study that proves the safety and effectiveness of vaccines. But they can't because it doesn't exist. So it leaves you in this state where you've accepted it, but in order to proceed, they have to give you this information that they can never give you.
Correct. Yeah.
That's actually reminded me of something that Jin, I was talking to Jin about a few months ago, because Jin, you know Jin, Rox in Japan. Jin has always been vehemently against the Jabba Dabba Doos, all Jabba Doos, not just this one, and because he said that through his research it became very clear that they basically don't have this for any of them. They can't provide you double-blind studies and all of these things that we think that they would have and they would be able to give us. They can't give us, and they can't actually prove that any of them work.
None of them have ever worked. There's a book, and I can't remember the name of it, by a guy called Dr. Andrew Weil, and in it he shows graphs of all these diseases, and the graphs show the death rate, and it usually does it's like a peak and then a sort of slow drop off, and you'll find that in these graphs he shows where the vaccinations were added, and it's always in the decline phase.
When it's already declining.
It's already declining.
It's a natural decline.
And the vaccine takes advantage of that and claims or takes credit for it, which is unwarranted. Yeah. No vaccine has ever, in the history of the world, had any effect on the progression of any disease whatsoever.
You see.
Or to slow the progression of any disease.
Or affect it in any way.
In any way.
Well, I mean, because I would say if it did affect it in any way, it would be actually to make it worse. Like with, so malaria, and you can catch malaria from the malaria vaccine, can't you? You can catch flu from the flu vaccine. So it's not making anybody better. It's just making them sick.
Most of the time, the vaccine actually creates some other disease. I think it was the polio vaccine in Africa that created the AIDS, so-called AIDS epidemic.
Yeah, which is not what people think it is at all, because they pushed it as a sexually transmitted disease, and that's not what it is. It's more about it's about your immune system. It's you can develop it through different treatments as well. Like people having chemotherapy can develop autoimmune deficiency, which is AID. Yeah.
So that's why people have been testing positive for AIDS after getting the vaccine. You know,
they say that there's been reports that they actually put it in the vaccine. You can't put something that develops naturally into a vaccine. That's what like annoyed me about that comment that I heard. It was on the I was on YouTube probably, but they were saying, you know, that they actually put it into the vaccine, into the vaccine, and I thought, how do they do that? Because it's something that develops. It's not a disease. It's like they call it a disease, but it's not. It's a deficiency. It's where your things aren't working properly. It's not a like a virus
it's somebody throwing a spanner in the works, essentially.
Yeah.
What the problem is, though, within society, we've had all of this information utterly rammed down people's throats. So much different levels of information. The vaccine's got this, the vaccine is not doing that. The vaccine's going to do this, the vaccine might not do that. The vaccine might cause complications, it might not. And it's got society in a grip of fear. The rest of the peoples that haven't started their pursuit of truth are gripped in fear. A lot of people have doubled down as well. A lot of people now who were moderately skeptical on masks being BS and possibly the government lying to them have now been given this new information that's now come out about the vaccines, this, that, and the other. And they're seeing children. They're seeing children of not their own, but of society's children being poster boys and girls for the things that they're rolling out in school. We don't have an influx in society. Parents homeschooling their children. All right, there's not massive swathes of people across the UK that have gone, do you know what, this is enough's enough. Right, if you're going to start teaching the children, they can choose their gender. Right, never mind finding out what your baby is in your tummy anymore. We'll just let the school decide when they go to school, because that's where it's at. And we've still got people advocating for the school system. So I think as long as we've got people out there looking at things like this, we need this information to get further out there. We can't have it staying in the stagnated pool the way it is. As I said, there'll be people that are watching the show now, and I know that some of you are going to be watching this, and some of you are going to be going, really? You're going over this stuff again? The reason we are doing this, though, is because the Great Awakening is growing regardless of what everyone wants. People that are watching this are needing helpful, usable information to share with their brothers and sisters who are desperately trying to wake up. But as I said, there's a lot of people now that have doubled down. They really have doubled down. It's sad.
It's I mean, so really, we've got away from common law.
Yeah, my bad. I kind of did that to wrap it up though, because that is what you were saying about the conditional acceptance and people talking about the vaccine. Everything's kind of connected. I know it's like we're coming away from common law, but we're not. Everything boils back to common law right now. Everything that everyone's dealing with within society. Sorry.
But you mentioned it. It's the thing that ties it all together, ties everything together. The entire control grid. Fear. That's it. Fear. With bailiffs. Fear. You're terrified because the bailiffs are going to come and take your stuff. With the court, it's fear because you can't say anything. You don't have any control. Everything. It's fear. Do this or this will happen. Do this or this will happen.
Correct. And then that's the holding position you've got people in then, right? They won't move.
Everybody
in fear of everything going wrong.
Do you know where that fear comes from, though? Television.
Oh, yeah. I
mean, there's a reason why there's so many cop shows on TV, to instill that fear into us. There's a reason why there's so many, court dramas and, and lawyers things. And, it's all to inspire that fear.
And like you said about the crime, the Mentalist and CSI in Miami, all these murders. There's all these crazy murderers around that are serial killers, and they're going to rape your children. All this just basically get everybody afraid of everybody else. You don't know what the next door neighbour's like, man. He looks like a bit of a nut job. But then he's probably got some.
You've also got the can't pay, we'll take it away type thing. Yeah.
This brings me back to social reprisal, right? And I know I keep talking about it. I'm not talking about internal social reprisal. I'm talking about external social reprisal. When I talk about society fearing that social reprisal, it's the fear of things like that being taken away from them. If they do something within society that irks their job, irks their living situation, irks their social situation, especially if that social situation has led to them having a career. That career will the house, the car, the relationship, the family, everything. And it's that social reprisal. I don't think it's the shunning from society that people are bothered about. I think people have grown a backbone in the lockdown, and I don't think a lot of people now care about what people think of them personally, but being shunned out of situations, I think, is far more damning to people nowadays than it was before. And I think that can't pay, will take it away kind of thing. There's got people.
Well, there's a fear of losing your stuff and going backwards on the social scale. Yeah, that's the status. Yeah,
but that's assuming the social scale is still measured on that stuff.
Well, yeah, it is though. It is whether you believe it or not.
For those it is, but I don't think for those that have left that it is. I think for those that are still.
It bleeds into the whole social aspect. It's not just about having our stuff nicked. It's about, I don't want to say that on Facebook because they'll ban me, or I don't want to say that on YouTube because they'll delete my channel, or it's
there's also the self-employed person that goes, I don't want to put that on social media because I might not get that job next week. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's the fear of losing, fear of missing out, fear of. And what is that? Fear. All the time. It's only fear.
Yeah.
And most of this in the legal lawful world is about fear, and it's about and ignorance as well, because you're not meant to know what's going on. Right. You're not meant to know what legalese means. You're meant to go in there, listen to, find out how much you've got to pay. Yeah. And that's it. So
what do we do, guys? How do we fix this? How do we start talking about the solutions for this? Because as I said, these things happen. You've mentioned mail fraud. We've got situations that are coming up with people, as I said, parking, speeding, TV license, council tax, Section 21s, being told to leave their houses, no rights. How do people break the cycle? How can people start gaining control again?
Okay. Now I can't remember if we said this sort of on camera or off camera, but it goes back to remembering who you are. Yeah, remembering you are a sovereign being, one step below the Creator. Right? And there's no other humans that are between you and Creator who can tell you what to do. Now, we've been brainwashed over the course of our entire lives to not be sovereign beings, to be that we are lower than low, that all these people are above us, like police and politicians and queens and whatever. Yeah, no, that's not true. Right? The truth is that we are above all those. We give the Queen our authority to rule us. Yeah, we give our authority for the government to govern us. We give our authority to the police to police us. Yeah. So the authority comes from us, right? And once you start to get a glimmer of that, of remembering who you are, then your approach to this world and to these officers, these servants of ours, will change. That's the crux of it. So my approach when I deal with these things is to be the sovereign and have clean hands and be in honor. Yeah.
But I was just going to say, and to remain in honor. So,
right.
You don't get angry.
Those that don't understand what that is. Yeah, I was going to say, you're explaining now. Thank you, because some people will be in honor. What does that mean, Rich? What does that mean, Dave?
Well, I mean, there's two different ways to think about it. In honor with the courts, in honor legally, and lawfully in honor, and then there's just being ethical and a decent person, a decent living being. I'm trying as much as I can to stop using these words, human and person, and so a decent human a decent living being, which means not getting angry, not don't swear, don't use bad language, always be polite and humble, and and they don't know what to do when you do that. That's the thing. Well, they don't know how to respond. They get frustrated and angry, don't they?
Right. Well,
sorry, go on, Dave.
I was going to say, I mean, we could go into what, like a speeding ticket, for instance, how to deal with that, with the clean hands approach. Okay, because all of these things come down to proving their claim. Okay. So let me ask you, Rich, where were you 2 weeks ago on Friday at 4:45 p.m.?
I was sat here.
He'll be different from everyone else.
Can you absolutely be sure 100%?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
well, you can. So you know for certain that you didn't pop out to go to loo.
Yeah. Okay. If we want to get down to semantics,
I'm saying, right now, right there, you swore that you right there, right? But you
during the day,
You can't tell me that moment, like that precise time that I mentioned, you weren't in the loo. Or you didn't pop out to have a smoke or whatever, yeah? Right. So when you get a speeding ticket, they're trying to tell you that between the hour or at 3:45 p.m., on this particular day, at that particular location, you were speeding, right? Right. So the truth, the utter truth is, you can neither confirm nor deny that you were at that location at that time on that date. That's truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
What happens?
So now it's there. It's now the onus is on them to prove that you were there.
Right. So if they've got a speed camera that's taken a photograph and you can clearly see that you are driving, what happens then?
Well, first of all, okay. If they've got a photograph, well, a photograph is not evidence. A camera is not a witness, right? You can say that the picture or the car in that picture does bear a striking resemblance to my car, but do you have any evidence? Because think about it. There are now people who clone other people's cars. They see a car that looks just like theirs. They go, oh, let me note that number plate down. They get those number plates made up, and now you're paying their tax, MOT, and insurance, right? right? Or else there could be a bit of bird shit on the P that makes a P look like an R, or an F look like an E, yeah? Or there could be any number of things to make that number plate look like your number plate.
But just the camera alone being a witness.
Camera's not a witness.
And you can't call the camera in for questioning.
Exactly. You can't
So-
cross-examine a camera, can you?
Right.
So it needs to be a proper witness, right? So the photographs are there to make you confess. So think that, oh, they've got me, so I've got no choice but to comply. No.
So if you actually sit there and you say,
sorry, go on. Yeah, go on.
Sorry.
I was just, if you actually say to you sit there, you know, say that they got you in the police station, and you sit and saying, you know, you can clearly see that this is you. It does bear a striking resemblance to me, and that does look like my car and my number plate. But I'm afraid I can't confirm or deny it, unfortunately. So you're not admitting. You're not admitting anything.
I'll give you a little story. I got arrested once for something, and I was standing there in front of the desk sergeant, and he was tapping away at his computer. He turned the screen round, and there was a picture of me on the screen, right, and all these details. And he said, "Gotcha, that's you, isn't it?" And I went, "Hey, it looks a lot like me, doesn't it?" But you go, "But that's you, though, isn't it?" "Yeah, it looks a bit like me, yeah." I'll go put him back in his cell. Yeah. He needed me to confess to it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Just saying, that's him isn't enough. He needed me to confess. So I need you to confess to these things.
And you can actually, you can say like it's actually like, no, that's not me. That's a picture of somebody that looks like me.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
No. I'm not saying that you say that, but what I'm saying is that the picture, if there is a picture of you, then it's like when they say, if he says, "That's you," well, no, I'm here. That's not me. I'm here. And that looks like me.
Looks like me.
I'm here.
Yes, it looks a bit like me, yeah. But again, that's a subjective call, isn't it?
I know some people are going to be watching this and thinking to themselves, "It can't just be that simple," but it is. I think that what we're trying to get across to
Occam's razor.
Yeah.
Again, right? The fact is that it comes down to prove your claim. They are trying to say that you were doing something at a certain time, certain date, blah blah blah, right? Well, you can't confirm or deny you were doing that because it's impossible. Nobody knows what they were doing 2 weeks ago at a particular time and date. Yeah, they're trying to make you confess with a photograph, knowing that it's not evidence. Okay.
I was going to say, is that why the letter doesn't say, "By the way, we caught you driving on da 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 da"? That's why on the other side of the thing, it wants you to nominate the driver.
Exactly.
They want you to confess who it was. They don't know who it was. They've just got their little.
And if they don't get the confession, they'll do you for not filling in that form.
Which is why you said silence is considered acceptance.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that what you get is a notice of intended prosecution. Well, what does the word notice mean? Do you know?
No, I'm just thinking of the etymology of it, and I can't.
It's legalese. The word notice means offer.
Right.
It's an offer of intended prosecution, right? So they're offering you to prosecute you, and if you confess, they're going to go ahead.
Do you know what? I think I've got that written down here. Because about the legalese, about the offer and a summons. A summons is an invitation.
Right.
You must means may.
Yes.
It's also is synonymous with may.
And notice means offer. So they're offering to prosecute you, yeah. And but they're sending this piece of paper out to you to make you confess to it, so that they can just go ahead and charge you. Yeah. You don't have to accept their offer, right? You can get clarification, proof of claim first before you can proceed. Now, again, they've got this stipulation on the back that you have to fill in this form, right? Well, you say, well, I will actually decline to fill this form on the back because you presented no material evidence to prove that I was actually there. I or my car was there on that day at that time. And unless you provide that proof, I'm not willing to waive my right to silence or contract with your company. That's it.
Again, helpful, usable information. This is what we really are about. We want people to be able to use this information and actually get somewhere with it. You said yourself, this information has helped people. People reach back to you and they say, and this is a way that you can deal with things where you don't have to get it script perfect. There's self-evident cases of people that are dealing with stuff like this that do it their own way and maybe not word perfect, but still get through. So,
somebody came to one of my talks and as soon as they left, they got a parking ticket. And so they thought, right, I'm going to challenge it. So they didn't quite get it right. They said something like, I can confirm that neither myself or my partner were driving their car at that time on that day and that time. Well, that's a statement. They're saying, I absolutely was not in that car. Well, then she can get caught out on that. There could be evidence that pops up that puts them in that car at that time, which means they were lying. Saying I can neither confirm nor deny is not lying. You're saying I don't know either way, right? She went on to say something like, you have a photograph from my car, but I think there's been a scam of some kind, like cloning my number plate or something. Well, again, that's another statement saying this is what's happened. Well, if it can be proved that hasn't happened, then she's caught out on a lie. So I don't even include that bit. I just say it looks like my car, but is there any evidence? So even though she did that, they still cancelled the charge.
Right. So that's a nice little example for those of you that are watching that are going, look, I don't really understand all of this. I don't get it all. Listen to the simplistic points that we put across today. And as I said, hopefully you'll be a lot more confident in dealing with the next set of situations that you're coming across. Go on, Mitch.
I think the biggest obstacle and the biggest deterrent for people, that it's what stops people from doing things, and people just go along with things because, God, but it's so much effort and it's so complicated, and it's so to do it. Like I was listening to your talk, David, about common law, and you were talking about how they're putting everything online. Because that way it's much easier for them to hide everything, and there's no, what you want is everything written so that you can, like contracts, so you can sit and go read through the contract, change it if you want to, amend it, put in, cancel out like you did with your Barclays account. But people have no time. They're lazy, really. People have become incredibly lazy, me included, and it's just, oh God, that's long. That's what doing all that. That's long, man. Oh, I might as well just pay it.
It's not laziness. Whatever, It's not laziness. It's childishness. We're being kept as children. Right? Yeah. As an adult, you take responsibility for every aspect of your life. Yeah. You're not really meant to be paying other people to do things for you as an adult, or expecting anybody to do something for you. You do it yourself. It doesn't matter if it's bloody hard. You do it, because you're an adult.
Unless it's too difficult for you to do, and then you get help. You get somebody to help you do it. But
Rich, right? Imagine you were stuck on a desert island.
And there's no one to ask. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. A man will go ahead and just do the damn thing. Yeah. I don't know how to build a hut, but I'm going to bloody well do it because my life depends on it. Yeah. That's being an adult. It doesn't matter if you're surrounded by, hundreds of people. you know, and people say, "Oh, I can build a hut for you."
And this is what we were talking about: society taking away men's masculinity over the last
massively
decades. Over the last few decades, men have really been demasculated. They've been feminized in a way society in a way that I never thought I would live to see the day where men don't have that. My dad was like a proper man's man. Like he was a proper bloke. The guys I see walking around in leggings nowadays, and
oh my God,
I don't know what to say of it. So I agree with what you're saying there.
Skinny jeans.
Childishness is a big aspect of this because we've been raised to have this, that's someone else's gig. That's someone else's job. But don't I phone up a call line and press number 2 and then someone does it for me? Yeah. No one's got that kind of DIY attitude. I think you said this before the show. We are like, if we're going to deal with law, legalese, and all the things that surround it in the way that we are, then we are just a load of kids going up against the big boys.
That's it.
And if we're not informed with the correct information, then that's all we'll ever be. And we'll be tossed around the place like ping ball.
Yeah.
So
but that's in every aspect of our life. Yeah, we've given away the responsibility for everything in our lives to other people.
Right. So we've not just given away the responsibility. What we've actually done, without realizing it, as grown men and women, we've given away our full power of attorney. We've given our full power of attorney to one of the things that Mark Christopher was saying is that when you open a bank account or you get a mortgage or something, you sign over all powers of attorney to the state when you do that.
Only if you get a mortgage, not a loan.
Oh, it's right, okay,
yeah.
But but when you open a bank account, though, isn't it? When you open a bank account as well, it's
I don't think so because I went through the application form with a fine tooth comb. I didn't see any hint of a power of attorney in there.
Right.
We'll have to come back. We'll have to circle back and come back to that one. We've been going for 36 minutes. I do feel like 2 parts is not enough for common law. I feel like 2 parts is enough for us to open up with common law, but we definitely have a lot more to get through, Dave. I, for one, have barely scratched the surface is what I want to talk about. And I know Rich has barely scratched the surface as well. So what we'll do is, if it's all right with you, we'll wrap up this part. I'm going to look at the time and work out if we've got enough time to do another part before I have to leave, if that's all right with you,
cool.
Rich.
Yeah, cool.
Take it away, play a little something to play us out, and then we'll come back in again for part 3. Yeah?
All right, brilliant. Cool.
All righty. Perfect. We will be back very, very shortly. Very, very shortly indeed.